Hello everyone, here we are again with another show of Cooking with Gigi, and we're going to make a big pot of chili. And I'm going to actually double the recipe because the recipe that I had gotten a few years ago and I've kind of tweaked it wasn't a huge recipe, so you can double it. And I'm going to use 2 pounds of the hamburger. So right now I've been working on chopping up my green peppers and my onions. And I'm using my food processor to do that, because it just goes faster and it's a little bit easier and you don't have to stand here and chop forever and a day. So I'm gonna do that. I've got the green peppers I've already chopped up, and now I'm gonna do the onions, and when I get these all diced up, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I have my vegetables pretty much all diced up in my food processor, and I've already done the green pepper and it's in the pot here. So I'll put this down where you can see my pot now. All right. Not sure why that looks like that. Oh, it's the side of the light. Got the lights in the way. It's going to take both my hands to fix it. So let me get that going so we're not looking at that. Okay. So here we are, ready to put in the onions. We have the peppers already in there. You can kind of see the peppers are down inside the pot. That is supposed to be the equivalent of 2 green peppers, pretty good sized ones as a matter of fact. Now I'm putting in the rest of the onion, and I needed a 1.5 cups of onion. So I just took like a medium onion and cut that up. It's usually, when I make one batch without the 2 pounds of hamburger, it takes like a half onion. So I just put a whole onion in. So we have 2 green peppers and 1 whole medium to large onion. All right, then we have 2 pounds of hamburger in there, and I do have the 93% lean. So what I'm going to do is just take my fingers and start, and I have washed my hands, so I'm going to just break up this hamburger meat with my hands. I don't have a problem touching stuff. You know, when you're a cook, you've got to get your hands in there. It's just hamburger meat. I can wash my hands later. It's not that gross. All right, some people might be bothered by doing this. You could use a wooden spoon, but it just takes longer and it just doesn't break it up, I don't think, as well. Once you start cooking it, you can kind of chop it with your wooden spoon. But I just want to get all that in there together because I'm going to fry the hamburger and the onions and the green pepper together. Now, hopefully I won't have a whole lot of excess fluid and grease, but since this is very lean hamburger. That's what I like to use when I'm making chili. Now, if I have a hamburger that I'm going to put on a bun, I don't want it to be that lean. I want some juiciness to my hamburger. Okay, so I kind of have that all mushed together. So I'm going to move over to the stove so I can start frying the hamburger, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I have moved into the stove so that I can start cooking the hamburger with the onions and the peppers. Get this over here where you can see it pretty good. Okay. I want you to see in my pot so you can see how I'm cooking it. Okay. So it's starting to cook. I have it on about between high and medium to start with to get this hamburger all browned up. Okay. So even though I mushed it up with my hands, you're going to take your wooden spoon or whatever you're using, spatula, and you're going to stir around your meat as it's cooking with the onions and the peppers. And in the meantime, I have opened all of my items over here that I'm going to need for my chili. And what we're going to need is 2 cans of this Hunt's Fire Roasted Diced tomatoes. You don't have to use Hunt's, but you want fire roasted. It makes a big difference. And I have 2 cans of that open and ready to go. Then I have 2 cans of my mixed chili beans with a mild chili sauce. Now that can be your choice. If you'd rather have a more spicy one, fine, and you don't have to do mixed. You can do whatever kind of beans you like. But we need 2 cans of beans, and I have my 2 cans of beans. You're going to need 2 cans of the, this is the 6-ounce tomato paste. And I happen to have one here that I had put in the freezer that I didn't use all of it. It might be a little bit lower. I think I took 1 tablespoon out, but it's going to be plenty. So we've got 2 of those. We're going to have some smoked paprika, And we're gonna have some cumin in there. And we of course have chili powder. And I'll tell you those amounts in just a little bit when I'm ready to put them in. We're gonna need 2 cups of water. And keep in mind, like I told you, I'm doubling this recipe because I wanna have some leftover chili. So if I were you and you're by yourself or you just want a smaller helping of chili, just cut everything in half. But I think if you're gonna make chili, you might as well have, plenty that you can eat because this chili warms up very well. It tastes really good. So that's the plan. I'm gonna keep kind of chopping my chili and browning it. And I did put it in my bigger saucepan to brown it because that just saves me from using a skillet that I've got to wash later. Now I'm just putting it all in here and keeping it in this pan. Getting it all chopped up and fried. Okay, I think I've told you everything that goes in there and I'll be back in a few minutes. So this ground beef is browning up very nicely. I'm just going to keep stirring it around. You can see there's still some red hamburger in there, so it's not cooked all well enough yet. And but you want to get your onions sauteed well and your green peppers. You want them cooked. Of course, they're going to cook and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes once we get this all added in here. So this is probably the hardest part. It's just getting your hamburger, your onions, and your peppers all stirred around into your pot and getting it cooked so that it's crumbled up really well. Some people might want to add other kinds of meat to their chili. I've heard of people doing a little bit of ground pork. I kind of stick with the lean hamburger is what I stick with. Okay, it'll be just a few more minutes and we'll be ready to add all the other ingredients. Okay, so I've been browning my ground beef with my onions and my green peppers, and now you just have to add all the rest of the ingredients that go in your chili. So right now I'm adding 1 of my small cans of tomato paste. That's the 6-ounce can tomato paste. That's number 1 of the tomato paste. Here's my number 2 tomato paste. Since we doubled it, I had to have 2. All right, I already had measured out my chili powder, my salt. I'll tell you how much we need. 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cumin, a half a teaspoon of paprika, but we want the smoked paprika. So I have that. And then we have to put that in there. And remember, if you're making just a smaller batch, cut that in half. So I'm putting all those seasonings in there. Here is my 2 cans, number 1, Hunt's diced fire roasted tomatoes. Makes a difference. You don't drain it, you put it all in there. We need 2 cans of our mixed chili beans with whatever kind of sauce you like. This is the mild sauce. I'm probably going to spice this up just a little with some red pepper flakes because I do like those. So as you can see, this is going to make a nice sized pot of chili. So if you just have a small family of 1 or 2, you may not want this much. I'm going to share with a friend, and I'm also going to possibly freeze a little, who knows, or I'm going to eat a lot of chili. There's number 1. This has got kidney and pimento beans in this one with a mild chili sauce. This is my number 2. The other one was pretty much the same thing, I believe, just by a different brand. We're going to have plenty of chili. Whoa, look at that. All right, we have the paste in, we have the spices in, and now we're going to put in 2 cups of water. If you don't double it, you're going to do 1 cup of water. But we're going to have 2 cups of water in here. And then we're going to let this cook probably between medium and low for about 15 to 20 minutes. And I have put everything in there. I've got to be careful not to catch my pot holder on fire. My other pans that I had, they had like a rubber handles. So I was used to being able to touch those. Now these pans, they get really hot because these are oven safe pans. I can stick this in the oven. But they also get hot to touch because they don't have that protection of the rubber handles. So I'm still learning to adjust to that. Look at that pot of chili. Is that a big pot of chili? Well, it might look big because it's not the biggest pot that I have that I put it in. So I wanted to be sure you could see the chili. You can see it pretty good. Now those tomatoes will break up and they'll soften as this cooks. And I'm going to actually put my lid on it and let it cook for a few minutes. And I'll come back and stir it once in a while. I want to be sure to stir it. Plus I like to see it. Isn't that a beautiful pan of chili? Wow. We have all the spices in there, except I am going to add a few red pepper flakes because I just really do, I do like a little bit spicier chili, but I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna pour it in my lid, make sure I don't get too many, and I'll put probably a couple of pinches of these red pepper flakes, which that actually is about how much I did pour into my lid. So I think we're good. Now I'll taste it after a while as it's getting closer to being done. And if it's not, you know, spicy to suit me, guess what? I'll add a little bit more. Okay. I also sometimes will add just a little bit of sugar, kind of to help with all the tomatoes, you know, they can be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a special word. But anyway, I've put a little bit of sugar to calm down the tomatoes, and it's really good when it's about done. Put like a tablespoon of butter, and it makes it have a more silky, rich consistency. So I'll do that when it's about done, though. Okay, so I'm letting the chili continue to cook. I'm putting the lid on it, and it's going to be delicious, and that's what I'll have for my dinner tonight. I'll be back with you in a few. Okay, so I've been cooking this about 15 minutes and I've got it down to kind of a medium low. So you don't want to burn the bottom. So you can come in and you can stir it once in a while, but look how beautiful that is. Wow. I think at this time I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of butter. It'll just make it silky. I did add a tiny bit of sugar, not much, about a teaspoon. Maybe I'll need more, I'm not sure. I'm gonna put that tablespoon of butter in there. See how that looks. Okay. Melt that in there. Just gives it something. Sugar kind of cuts that tomato acidy part of the tomatoes. See, it's so acidy, you know. Sometimes that tomatoes bother me a little, but I will eat chili, that's for sure. So I will be dishing me up a little small helping and let it cool, and then I'll come back and I'll see how I think it tastes. Okay, so I have myself a small bowl of chili dipped up. It is still pretty hot, but the way I like my chili, I'm gonna reach over here and myself get a handful of shredded cheddar cheese, and that's cheese that I shredded myself because it does melt better. I know I tell you that every time, but I'm just trying to convince you to shred your own cheese. So I'm gonna sort of let that melt in there just a little bit, cool off a little bit more while I fix myself a drink and probably get me some Ritz crackers because I like Ritz crackers with chili. Okay, here we go. Chili with melted shredded cheddar cheese. And I do have my Ritz crackers ready to go. And I love my little specially made bowl holder, quilted by Irene, a friend of mine that I play pickleball with her, and I also play trivia with her. And anyway, we have so much fun. And she was so generous on my birthday last year to give me this. She gave me something different this year. I'm gonna have to think, oh, I can show you what she gave me. She made me this, like I said, she's a quilter, and it has pickleball pattern on it, and it's for me to put 9x13 pans on, which is perfect for my cooking show, or just the fact that I like to cook. So again, thanks Irene, really nice gifts. I appreciate them. And then I'll have to tell you later about something that did happen at trivia, but I need to get going on this chili. Make sure it's not too hot. Okay, here we go. Very good. I think it's spicy enough. It's got beans. It's loaded with beans. Now, some people like pasta in their chili. You know, back in the day I did, but I've learned to kind of cut down on the carbs. So since I don't want to have carbs, I won't do that. But there are chili mac recipes and things you can make and put pasta in there. If you want pasta in this, just put some of your pasta in there while you're boiling it and cooking it, and it'll just cook up. It'll be perfect. That is good chili. If you want some chili on a cold night, make this. You can make a single batch or a double batch like I did. Well, thank you so much for tuning in again with Cooking with Gigi. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And so give me a thumbs up if you like the recipe, and please subscribe. Have a great evening and a great weekend. I'm sure I'll see you again soon.